Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome to the Healing Train. I am your conductor, B.Von Squires, and today we are sponsored by Vivity Business Solutions, where your business and marketing collide for a Vivity experience. Okay, well, we're here today because it's the Healing Train, where ordinary people come to tell their extraordinary stories of trauma to triumph, from struggle to success. Now, we know everyone's journey is not the same. There's going to be ups and downs and twists and turns along the way. And today's passenger is no other than Shar'ron Mason. She is a marriage and family therapist, and I tell you what, she's got some really juicy nuggets for us today. Sharon, can you please come on and say hello to the community?
Hello, hello. Well, first of all, thank you for inviting me on the Healing Train. I am so excited to be here. And I'd have to say excited and nervous, excited and nervous. But super excited to be here to share with your community. Looking forward to the conversation, sharing about my journey and how it's continuing to unfold. Um, Hello, hello, hello.
Oh my goodness, thank you so much. We are so glad that you are here. We welcome you with open arms. This is a safe place for you. Okay, guys, so you know how this goes. And if you don't, let me tell you. I wrote a book and it's called The Energy Harvest. It is a four-phase trauma healing process that starts with identifying the trauma, and then it moves into the set phase where we talk about what did Sharon have to change in her mindset in order to heal from the trauma. Then she's going to talk to us about what she was able to achieve once her healing began. And then she's going to talk to us about how she continues to maintain and sustain all of that wonderful momentum that she has. All right, guys, with no further ado, we're going to just jump on in. And Sharon, again, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for trusting us with your authenticity, for
Mhm,
allowing us to have a little look into your trauma healing journey. And so, as we know, trauma is different for everyone. And
mhm.
like for me, I didn't know it was trauma. I thought it was something that every little girl had to deal with or every little girl was experiencing in her own household. Now, tell us for you, how were you able to identify the trauma that you're going to tell us about today?
Hey, so I'm just going to give you a little bit of backstory and
Yeah.
jumping in. Actually, I was talking to my mom this morning. She called this morning and she said, you raised yourself. I mean, she tells me this story of, she says, I raised myself. She tells me about being a little girl, kindergarten, first grade, coming home from school and telling her that I can't watch TV. I can't go outside, play with friends, anything like that. She says, because I tell her I had homework to do. Kindergarten, first grade, what is that, 5, 6 years old?
Exactly.
And so early on, I was beyond super responsible, beyond, 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 beyond. And that's not necessarily the most normal thing to
No.
be a child that says, I can't watch cartoons, I can't play because I have homework to do. I'm thinking, what kind of homework could I have had? So I was the child of a 14-year-old girl, 17-year-old boy, so my parents. So I was a child of children, children, yeah, 14, 17. And with my parents, well, I'll go back as far as to birth. So when my mom had me, I had some health things going on, after I was born. So I didn't get to leave the hospital right away, after those 2 or 3 days,
Mhm.
4 days, however long that may be. Well, she did as well. So 14-year-old girl, her blood pressure was skyrocketed. And so for that first week, she also couldn't leave the hospital. So that first week, we would have been in there together.
Mhm.
So I've
Mhm.
got my mother. I'd been, of course, with her the entire time, that 9 months. And then for the first week, she's still there. So she's able to feed me, take care of me, and all those things. Well, after that week, she goes home. Well, after that week, I'm still there. And of course, I don't know all of what transpired because I've been trying to figure out part of my trauma story
Sure.
and trying to pinpoint. And I know that with being a therapist, oftentimes we don't know, what all unfolded. We're not sure, but we know because of what we're experiencing. Um, it's like, okay, something happened.
Something did happen.
Yeah, it's like
Exactly.
something happened. And so I
Mm-hmm.
start to piece this thing together. I
Okay.
start to piece it together.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, she's telling me the story. And I didn't find out the story of the week she's there. And then after that, I'm there until later. I didn't know that I couldn't find any baby pictures of me. Yeah,
Mm.
it's like one, like a baby picture.
Oh my.
And even that picture, I looked like I was a month or two old. So no newborn baby pictures. None,
Mm.
none.
Oh
And
wow.
so I asked about that, and then my mom would tell me, she said, well, she didn't want to take any pictures because they had to shave all the sides of my hair off, and she didn't want any pictures of me like that. And yeah, so yeah. So I'm thinking, where in the world are my baby pictures? So the one picture that I did see, and oh my gosh, I didn't see this picture until my grandmother had passed and we were going through all of these pictures. So this was only what, maybe 3 years ago. We're going through all of these pictures, trying to, looking at memories, but also get things together for her funeral. And I see this picture and it's me. I hadn't seen it. And like I said, this is like 3 years ago. I'm 50 now. And I'm trying to connect with this baby because I'd never seen a baby picture of me at this age.
Oh.
And I look
Mm-hmm.
at the picture and I'm thinking, there's a there's a disconnect, kind of looking over to the side. And you don't have to be, of course, engaged, but I was not engaged. I was looking over to the side. The picture didn't look happy. Um, it didn't feel like me. Let me just say that
Mm-hmm.
because me in this state, I'm more happy, I mean, and joyful and content and things. So I was a hard time having a difficult time connecting. And
Sure.
so, yeah,
Did
so
it make you?
I ended up having to have some conversations with her as well, with
Mm-hmm.
with
Mm-hmm.
the baby, with the baby. We have some conversations.
Oh
And
my.
yeah,
Okay.
I'm thinking, I don't know what all you went through,
Oh.
but you're good now. I'd like to let her know
Mm-hmm.
you're good now. Things worked out well. You are protected. So all of the things I had to let her know that
Yes.
because I don't know what she had experienced, but yeah, I had to let her know I've got you. You
Absolutely.
are protected. Your needs are met.
Mm-hmm.
Let me know what you need. So all of the things, you
Exactly.
know. But like I said, that was, gosh, that point I would have been probably 47. Yeah, that was all those years later. And so when I think about the trauma I experienced, I'm thinking my mom, she's there that week, then she's not there, and she's there, she's feeding me, she's doing all the things, she's telling me these things. But also when she left the hospital, once a day after that, she'd come up and feed me, one meal.
Mm-hmm.
And so once a day, I'm seeing my mother, she feeds me, and then of course, she's got to go back home. I mean,
Sure.
she's still a 14-year-old child, so she'd have to
Mm-hmm.
get a ride, or catch the bus or whatnot.
Wow.
And another piece that connected for me was I was saying, well, if my mom came there once a day, she fed me, then I've probably got this attachment to food, nurturance in that way that has probably carried over. And when I thought about it, I said, oh, you do. I
Oh
said,
my goodness. What a connection.
okay, like if you mention to when I think about like even people I've worked with and family members, it's this big joke of Shar'ron likes to eat. And there's truth all in it. There
Mm.
is no, I get excited about food. I love to eat. I love food. Like I like cooking and things now. I like going out to eat. I love gathering around food. And I think a lot of people do that. But
Sure.
so
Sure.
I was making that connection. I was saying, well,
That's
if
powerful.
the time that your mom would come up there, it would be, she'd come up there because she wants to feed you at least one of those meals,
Mm-hmm.
and then you're back making that connection,
Mm-hmm.
then that meant something and it had to have impacted me in some ways. And then I just came to the present and I'm like, oh yeah, I could see that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because what I'm understanding is anytime you pair an activity with something that's going to increase the endorphins, then it becomes a part of who you are.
Yes.
And so increasing those endorphins through the nurturing of your mother,
Yes.
right? Supporting it with the nurturing of your body, which was the food. That's a natural connection to make. And
Yes.
wow, how extraordinary, right? Because this is
Mm-hmm.
about the extraordinary story of Shar'ron Mason.
Mm-hmm.
How extraordinary for you to
Whew.
even make that type of connection. Wow, that is
Mm-hmm.
very powerful. That is so powerful.
Well,
Kudos on that one.
well, I would say, because this is something I'd share at the end, but this 50-year-old brain, it may forget. So I'm going to share it now. It's
Okay.
important for us to know our stories. Some of these things, of course, I didn't know till later. Like the piece around my mother coming to the hospital once a day and feeding me. I don't recall her sharing that story with me until like last year.
Wow.
I did know part of being in the hospital that week. Okay, yeah, I did know parts of being in the hospital for an extended period of time, but the part of her going up there and feeding me, and yeah, I was not aware of that. So there are things that it's important for us to know our stories. Sometimes we think that this is something small, it's minute, it's not important, but it all connects. And so I've just gotten curious, more curious over the years because I want to know more of my story. Because the more that I know about my story, the more that it allows me to know about myself, my inner
Absolutely.
workings and all those things. But when I
Absolutely.
think about being a baby at the hospital, I'm thinking you're probably having to do a lot of self-soothing. You got an entire nursery of babies, I'm assuming, I'm imagining there's probably a lot of babies in there,
Mm-hmm.
and you're not going to get the care that you would one-on-one with your parent, with your caregiver. So I learned early on, I'm surmising, to self-soothe, which is telling me that you need to make sure that you're taking care of your needs because who else is going to do it?
Absolutely. Wow.
Who else is gonna do it? Who else are you gonna be able to count on to do these things for you? And at that age, that's when the parent is supposed to be providing for those needs or the caregiver.
Correct.
And to not have that met, that sets you up later in life. Because what is this gonna look like now, with a partner, with family, with friends, when you're looking at these reciprocal relationships, that should be the expectation. How is that gonna set me up? And
Absolutely. Oh my
yeah.
goodness. That is so deep because if you feel like you have to self-soothe and this is the pattern that you had because this is how you feel and this is who you are,
Mhm.
then throughout your whole entire life you have been providing for yourself emotionally, providing for yourself mentally, providing for yourself. And so now when it, as you're saying, as those reciprocal relationships, how do you let someone in to provide the things for you that you have been providing for yourself this whole time? So I
Mhm.
can see how that could be kind of challenging. I mean, I'm speaking from my own experience, obviously, right?
Yeah. Mhm. No, no, absolutely. It's challenging. And I think even in terms of the partners that you pick, picking individuals who cannot or will not be emotionally present. And so it's kind of like a catch 22.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, you can't, you want, and then I'm going to overdo, overfunction. However, this is the desire, this is the need. And so it's a sabotage. It's kind of like that self-sabotage, almost that
sure.
self-fulfilling prophecy.
Mm,
Um, yeah, because I don't expect you to necessarily. It's kind of like that pull and tug. I want you to, but I don't expect you to. Are you? Nah, you're not. And what
absolutely.
that looks like all through life. And I can see that most definitely in my life, in my relationships as well.
Absolutely. Wow, this is so powerful. Thank you so much for sharing all of this,
You're
and
welcome.
um the just the fact that you were willing to go in and look at your life. A lot of people aren't willing to do that. They're afraid to go back and see who they were, what
Mhm.
transpired, who they became and the actual journey of it all. And so, for me I had to know that there was something pulling on the inside. I just needed to know all of
Mhm.
these things because I wanted to
Absolutely.
find out, why am I acting a fool? Why am I running around here squandering my life and squandering my energy? What happened to me?
Yeah,
I needed
what
to know that.
happened to
You know what
me?
I'm saying?
Yes.
What
Yeah.
happened to me? so that
Yeah.
I can heal that. And that's what
Mm.
the whole process of the energy harvest is about. Me finding all of those things out and healing myself by the grace of God. Obviously, this
Yes,
doesn't happen by me.
absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? A broken person cannot heal themselves. There
No.
has to be a power greater than, a
Yeah.
wholesome, most powerful entity
Yeah.
that can change you with your
Hmm.
permission. You see what I'm
Yes.
saying? And
And
so
I'm
that's
so
what
glad you mentioned that. So even when I look back at my senior yearbook, and it's got that part in there, and it says like a whole page, who's your best friend? And then it's got all these things. Mine says God.
okay.
And yeah, so somewhere in there and throughout that time, I knew that God was my best friend. I knew
Mm-hmm.
that I could go to God, have conversations,
Absolutely.
all the things. I could be vulnerable with God, even if I
Mm-hmm.
was guarded, or whatever the case with others. With God, I knew that, and so that was even funny to me to go back through my senior book, and I'm like, okay, yeah, this thing has been going on for a very long time.
Absolutely.
Another thing that comes up, is sometimes when it's okay, I'm over functioning, I'm early on, goal driven, I'm doing all the things that bring on accolades or whatever the case may be, it can have you placed on a pedestal. And it's like, why look at this? This is something that I've been commended for so long. And people say that it's a good thing, it's a great thing. And so don't mess with that. Don't touch it because it's a good thing. Well, no, that's not even healthy. It's not
Mm-hmm.
healthy to strive for this perfection. It's not healthy to be over functioning. It's not healthy to have yourself kind of on this island and I can do this all myself.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Even doing all the things for others and enabling them and the things that you still get pat on the back for because, oh, you're so helpful, you're so
Mm-hmm.
selfless. And it's like, you don't even get it because this isn't that.
Right.
Because, but it can look like that.
Sure, but it's a trauma
Yeah.
response. It's a trauma
Yes.
response, is what it really is.
Yes.
Even though it produces some wonderful things,
Yeah.
nonetheless, on the very bottom line, is it's a trauma response.
Yeah.
That's what I found for me. Yeah, that's
Mhm.
what I found. Because I mean,
Yeah.
I can look at my life and I can see all of the wonderful things that are happening by the grace of God. Again,
Hmm.
but then sometimes, like you said, the overdriving of myself. The overachieving, all of those kinds of
Hmm.
things, piling things on my plate so I don't have to engage with other people, and all of that. These are trauma responses that I still
Yes.
have to look at even
Yes.
today. Even today.
Ooh. Yeah.
I try to see it from a healthy perspective, but at the same time I have to know when to stop. I have to know when to rest. I have to know
Get
when
that balance. Oh
I
God.
have to take care of me. It is
Yeah.
so important. It is so
Hmm.
important. I deserve to be taken care of. I deserve the rest. And see, that's another traumatic thought process. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? You don't deserve to rest. Get up, get something done, those sorts of things based on where you come from,
Yes.
right?
Oh gosh. Yeah. And I think about it even when I'm in the room with clients. I think that's what helps to bring a lot of things to the forefront that say, ding, 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 Shar'ron, have you addressed that? Ding, 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 have you addressed that? Ding,
Right.
ding, ding, what does that look like in your life? Okay, is
Yes.
there a parallel process that's taking place here? So
Yes.
it can be extremely helpful. I'm not the therapist that says, oh, therapy is for you over that way on that side, but it's not for me. No, I am a therapist who believes in being in therapy, and I'm a therapist to therapists as well. So
Yes.
extremely
Absolutely.
important to continue to do my work and to dive deeper and see what's going on. What's going on because that's not okay.
Absolutely.
Oftentimes I would find that I would do certain things just to kind of ward off anxiety. If I over prepare, if I it used to be where I'd get places early.
Hmm.
And now sometimes it feels like I went this other direction, and I'm thinking, you are not a late person. I have to tell myself, you're not a late person. What's this all about? But
Hmm.
I don't experience that anxiety like that anymore. So I can be there slower and I can kind of roll in, and I don't have to be the first one in the room so
Yes.
that I can see everything that's going on. And no,
Yeah.
yeah,
Wow. You
Yeah.
have definitely identified quite a lot of things in your process. And oh my gosh, it's so amazing to hear you tell us all of these things, Shar'ron, and help us to look even at ourselves as we're listening to your process. And
Hmm.
so, as we have identified everything, and so we're going to move along to the set phase where we have to talk about the mindset that had to be changed in order to deal with the trauma, in order to continue the healing process,
Hmm.
in order, you know what I'm saying? So, what was your
Yes.
mindset like? I know for me, I had to forgive. I
Oh.
had to forgive my abuser. I had to forgive the situation. I had to forgive
Hmm.
myself. I just had to forgive. Forgiveness was the key for me in order to move forward. So, would you agree with that? And what was that like for you?
Ooh, yes, 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 and yes. So that was definitely a part of it. It was a part of it. So I need to share this part to kind of make a connection. uh, Teen years, and I think a lot of teens have strife and all these things sometimes with the parents. You're trying to individuate, and I don't want to be connected. Really, I don't. I should not be connected to my parent in the same way in those years. Um, and then sometimes there can be conflict. So there was some conflict in the relationship with my mom during those teen years. A lot of it, I would say, on my side was a sense of pride. It's this thing of, um, and I'll have to be honest, like this thing of, oh, I know so much because I've been doing so well in school and I'll get all these accolades and all these things. I've kind of been doing this anyway. Like you said, you raised yourself. So I've been doing this anyway. And now, you got input on some things. It was a number of different things. But it came to the point, I went through a spiritual recovery program at my church, and it required me to take a look at myself. And then I took a look at myself, and I did not like what I saw. Like I said, the pride, even the arrogance. I mean, there was a whole lot of things in there that I did not like, and it allowed me to see my mother in a different light.
Ooh, praise God.
It allowed me to see her in a different light. And when I thought about having a 14-year-old mother, the fact that you're here, yeah, the fact that you are here
Hmm.
is huge. I
Yes.
could not imagine being a 14-year-old mother. Now, I was still a teen mother. I had my daughter at 19, so 19, still a teen mother, but I
Hmm.
could not imagine. So I thought about, um, I was like, you were given a whole lot more than you're even giving her credit for. My dad was in the picture too, and it's something about, I was like, "You didn't put as much weight on him as mom," and I think we do that. It's like,
Right.
mom, my expectations of my mother are this, and then the expectations of dad are this.
Yeah.
It's kinda like you couldn't do any wrong. I mean, it's like he just couldn't do
Hmm.
any wrong. It's like, what is that all about? But during that period, I was able to take a look at my role, my part, and what I needed to do differently, my selfish ways, oh gosh, I was just able to take a look inside, and it's like, I don't like this.
Hmm.
Being a mother also allowed me to see some things. It's like, "Oh, your mama knew a whole lot. Your mother knows a whole lot."
Yeah.
And it gave me a different perspective. It made me respect her more, and I think at
Hmm.
some point, I wasn't respecting her the way that I should have, but it made me realign some things, and I was like, "Okay, I've got to, have some respect for the woman who
Right.
has sacrificed."
Mm.
I don't know all of my mom's story, but the parts that I know, I'm like, "Whew,
Wow.
yeah, whew, you did it." I mean, started working early, all the things that she was doing to make sure that we were cared for to the best of her ability.
Wow. Hmm.
Um, I realized also some of the emotional pieces, you can't give what you don't have. She gave me the best of herself. Just
Absolutely.
as, as a mother, I gave my daughter the best of myself.
Hmm.
So I was looking at a lot of different areas. And in that thought process, I had to forgive my mom. I had to forgive myself. The word that comes up for me is grace. And any client that I've probably ever seen in life, like if you were to ask them, what's the thing that Shar'ron talks about, probably almost more than anything, they say probably grace.
Hmm.
and I talk about the importance of extending ourselves grace.
Ooh, wee, that's powerful.
Yeah, we tend to talk about God's grace
Mm,
and grateful for God's grace, mercy, but I needed to learn how to extend myself grace, which allows me to be human. That for
mhm,
me, that's what that does. It
mm,
allows me to be human and I don't have to be perfect. I can be
yeah,
flawed. Even when I mess up, I
mhm.
don't shame myself.
There you go.
Society, there's so much shame in the world. And if we
Mm,
didn't have that, I think about even addictions and even depression, anxiety, so many things that would address. So I do not shame myself. I do not allow anyone else to shame me as well. And I don't care what
absolutely.
mistake I've made.
Yes.
I don't, whatever it may be. Now I
Mhm.
have a conversation with myself and I'll address it,
Of
but I'm going
course.
to do it from a place of love.
Love. Mm-hmm.
And in adapting these things for myself, I'm able to do that with others as well.
Wow, Sharon, that is so powerful. That is so
Yeah,
powerful, especially, to be able to give yourself grace.
absolutely.
So you know how I'm sure you've probably heard it. We are our worst critics. We are our worst. We hold ourselves to the highest standard. That sometimes other people don't even hold us to, but we hold ourselves to that standard.
Yeah.
I can be so rigid with myself. I can,
Hmm.
I can be, and I'm learning. I am still learning how
Oh,
to
yeah.
give
It's a
myself
journey.
grace.
We are learning. Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm still learning that healing is a lifelong process and
Yes.
that grace, it comes in layers. You know what I'm saying? Some places I'm able to give myself that grace and
Yeah.
some places I still need to work on it, and
Yes.
so I'm trying or not trying, but I'm doing my best,
Hmm.
to understand that it is necessary. The same compassion that I give to those that I coach is the same compassion I need to give back to myself.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's easier said than done, but I do strive to do that as best as I can.
Yeah. Being
So
intentional. That's the other
absolutely.
word that comes up for me. There
Yes,
are so many things that were not second nature. So I have to be intentional.
absolutely.
That means I need to check in with myself. How are you doing with this? How are you doing with that? I check in with my body
Mhm.
because oftentimes I want to feel it in my body before I'm even going to have a thought or, yeah. So checking in with my body, what's going on? Why in the world is my stomach in knots? What's
Mhm.
going on? What's going on in my chest? Why are
Yes.
my shoulders so tense, and up here to my ears?
Yes.
Why am I having these unexplained aches and pains? I was a kid. Now, I drove my family crazy because I had a headache or my back was hurting. I was a kid that my back
Mm.
would hurt.
Oh
I was
my.
carrying so much.
So yes, exactly.
I was carrying so much because not only was I being overly responsible for myself, I started taking on other people's stuff too. Yeah,
Mm.
I started taking on other people's things too because, oh, she can do things efficiently and effectively. Yeah, it was
Exactly.
as
Oh
a
my goodness.
kid. So
I
yeah, it's look over these, and even in the teen years, kind of look over these forms, you look over adult documents. These things were going on way back then.
sure.
Yeah, but
That
it's
feels
like,
good though, doesn't it? It feels good to be recognized like that, doesn't it?
oh, absolutely, because we're trying to
Mhm.
find our place.
Mhm.
And it's like, whoop, I found it, especially when there's a lot of people around you. It's like, what's my place?
Yeah.
Now, I was the goofy kid too. Oh my gosh, I'm still goofy, but I was the goofy kid too. But in that role, the good stuff didn't come from that role from others. Oh my gosh, I'd get into so much trouble because it was not seen as a good thing. Oh, it
No.
was not it was not seen as a good thing.
Aw.
But when I look at it now, I was like, what a gift I was given
Mhm.
because my sense of humor, I love to laugh. I'm going to find something to laugh about in most situations. And I try to be as appropriate as possible, but God tends to show me humor in things. And I'm thinking, really? Now? But yes, really now.
I am so happy that you said that. Humor has been lost. Humor has been lost in so many arenas. You know what
Not
I'm saying? We
here.
became adults and it's like we don't have time to play. We got
Oh,
to
I
get down
play.
to business. You got goals. You got this. And somebody somewhere along the line, we forgot to laugh. We forgot to play and have fun. So thank you so much for bringing that up. Oh
Oh, yeah.
my gosh.
I am the biggest kid. Like my granddaughter's here. She's here over visiting me for the weekend, and she gets in the car and she's laughing, giggles, 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 giggles. She's like, "Grandma, it's been a while since she's been over," and she's like, "Grandma, I love coming over." She said because I just laugh. And
Oh
I was
my
like, oh
goodness.
my. So I was kind of messing with her first. I was like, what's going on back there? Having to talk with her. But as we're riding, we're laughing, we're joking, we're having fun because that's a true part of my nature. And I love to see all people, but especially children who still have that within them. I'm like, tap into it. Let's go all the way in there. Invite
I,
me in.
I
Invite
know.
me in because that's another thing. We tend to shame. Yeah, what's so funny? And it's like, what you so happy about? Have you ever heard that? It's like
Yes.
someone's questioning my happiness. What are you so happy about? And then it sometimes gets to be a thing of let me see how I can take some of that because I can't withstand that because over here is dark. What's all that light going on over there? So being
Mm,
able to, no, I'm having fun, I'm laughing, I'm joking,
yeah.
and that's whether I'm with other people or with myself. No, I'm going to enjoy my life.
Absolutely. And I'm so happy to hear you say that because there's so many stressors out there in our lives, so many natural stressors,
Hmm.
COVID, gas prices, all those kinds of things can be stressors. But then you have those people that want to come and level you out. Like, I can't take that energy from you, so I'm going to level you out. Like, it's their business to level you out. You're too happy, you're too up, you're too, and those that happens as well. But what I'm happy to hear you say is you are intentional about who you
Yes.
are and you maintain your own environment,
Yes.
right, in the
Yes.
midst of all of these things. And that just goes to show how much you've been able to heal over the years. You're no
Yes.
longer that little child in the hospital wondering where mom is. You know what I'm saying? You're no longer, that teen mom that has to struggle to try to be all those things that you want to be to your daughter. Now you are someone who has found herself, found her way
Mhm.
through God, through the church, to find yourself to be this confident person, allowing yourself, to be happy, allowing yourself to self-soothe, allowing yourself now to allow people in
Yes.
these wonderful reciprocal relationships.
Yeah.
Woo-wee. People,
Yeah.
I'm telling you, Mr. Ron Mason is bringing it to us today. Do you hear me? I am so glad that
Yeah.
you are here. We are so glad
And
to
it's a
hear.
work in progress. I want to make sure
Absolutely.
that it's a work in progress.
Now we get to talk about the achieve session. And now
Yeah.
you get to tell us about that work in progress. So go right ahead and tell us how you're able to achieve so much, after your healing. Please tell us about that.
Yes. So for me, I'm really careful about the word balance. I mean, what is that? But I really seek to have balance or even greater balance. And that means I'm going to get up and I'm going to tend to myself. That means that phone's not being answered until a certain time
Okay.
because the way we start the day is really going to set the course of the day. So it's how do I set the day? I want to be intentional. So I want to
Absolutely.
get up. I want to get in my word. Whether I'm meditating, I'm praying, I'm doing some praise and worship, journaling. Um, yeah, I'm going to do all those things. And then I'm also going to get my exercise. So like today, did not get the exercise on because I was trying to sleep.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
so granddaughter and we checked in because I told her yesterday what today was going to look like. So checked in with her and I told her that if we don't do it this morning, tonight, we're getting down there to the gym, to the little gym in the basement. We're getting down there. So I set the course of what the day is going to look like. It means that I'm going to feed myself good stuff as much as possible. Now, whew, the struggle because still we're talking about me and food. It's
Yes.
still a struggle, and I've got the sweet tooth that seems insatiable.
Sure.
but I try to be as intentional as possible about what I'm putting into my body, what I'm putting into my mind, what I'm putting into my spirit,
Yes.
all of me. I try to be as intentional as possible. And then I can give to others from the overflow. I'm not giving from an empty space,
That's
empty
right.
place. When
That's
the
right.
weather is nice, I'm gonna get out and I'm gonna walk. I might skate. I might get on my bicycle. All the active things,
Yes.
Sis over here, 50 now, but I was doing this for a little while, but now I'm really like, you got the nerve to be 5 oh. So make sure to keep the momentum going. This
Hmm.
isn't the time to slow down on the stuff that's helping you now. Yeah,
Yes.
let's not do that. Let's continue to do the things. And those are the things that I do. And because I do those things, then I've got things to give to my clients,
Yes.
to friends, to family, but I'm not giving anyone any more than I'm giving myself. It's just not going to happen. So I have to check in to see, what do I have? I have to say no more often. And that was something that was difficult for me early on. It was difficult to say no. I didn't want to disappoint people. They already placed me on this pedestal. I didn't want to disappoint
Yes.
people. I didn't want to seem like I was selfish. I mean, I didn't want to be perceived in a certain way. And
Sure.
so I would overcommit. Not to
Hmm.
say that I don't do it now, but it's
Yeah.
far less. Oh, it's so, so, so far less.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And
You know,
before committing, I'm checking my calendar and I may say, well, give me a sec, but it will be right away. Yes, I can do it. I'm like,
absolutely. Yeah.
you done to yourself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I can certainly, resonate with that. Wanting to give, don't want people to perceive you in a certain way. And that I lived that way for so long. And I realized that my life belonged to other people. It didn't even belong to me. So I had to say to, and it's only through the research that I've done. It's only been over the last couple of years, okay?
Mhm.
It's only been over the last couple of years that I have realized that I've come to understand through, like I said, research. People think of us based on who they are, not based on who we are. And so
Yes.
and so because I can't control how people feel, then I can't allow myself to put things in place based on how I think somebody else is going to feel about me. And that's
Mm-hmm.
something so hard because it
Oh.
was ingrained in me as a child. Do
Mm-hmm.
this and mom will love you. Do
Yes.
this and you might get some candy. Do this and something good's going to happen. And so that's how I was raised. And so that belief that
Mm-hmm.
I had to do things in order to receive good things, from people in order to receive love. See, that was it for
Yes.
me. In order to receive love, I had to do this, that, or the other. And then
Mm-hmm.
it came to my realization that no, people that love me are going to just love me for being
Yeah.
who I am. And
Mm-hmm.
so that's the only thing that's been able to help me to
Yes.
find that balance that you're talking about. That
Mm-hmm.
to be able to say no, I'm sorry, maybe next time,
Maybe.
but I don't stop giving, but I give it from a way that says I'm not doing this so that they will see me this
Yeah.
way.
And so I don't be
I'm doing,
resentful.
yeah,
Oh God.
come on
Because when
now,
I
that's it.
give and it's not from that right place, oh, resentment's coming.
Thank
I'm going
you.
to resent you and I'm going to be waiting
Yes.
for you to pay me back. And I'm going to
Yeah.
be waiting. You haven't said thank you 5,000
Oh.
times. You only said thank you twice. You're so ungrateful, you know? Yeah.
Yes.
all the
Yes.
things. But it's like, no, if I'm going to give, let me give and let me be done. I don't have to attach anything else to that. Let me
Absolutely,
just give.
absolutely. That
Yeah.
is so huge what you just said because see what I used to think that way too until God helped me realize that you know what? You are a blessing because I have blessed you. What you give to someone else is because I have given you. So don't you dare think you're supposed to have
Mm.
something in return. If and when I bless you for that, it'll be coming from me, not that person. I am the one giving to them and I am the
Mm.
one giving back to you. So don't get it confused
Look, don't
about
get it twisted.
twisted. Yeah, that's
Don't
what I
get
was
it
about
twisted.
to say.
Look, don't
Don't
get
get
it
it
twisted.
twisted. Yeah,
Yeah.
don't get it twisted. None of this
Yeah.
has anything to do with you.
Let
I
me
am
remove this
blessing
hand
you.
and see what's going to happen.
Exactly, exactly. And so that was my like aha epiphany moment.
Yeah.
So now I give from a place that hey, it's gonna come back or it already has been here. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? I had to have it from God in order to give it. So, yeah,
Yes.
thank you so much.
Yes.
This is
Oh
such
my
a
gosh.
wonderful, rich
As you
conversation.
were
I'm loving it.
Mhm. As you were sharing that, it made me think about something else that was coming up was we teach people how to treat us.
Indeed.
So if I am being treated a certain way, what role do I play in this? And oftentimes we get so accustomed to playing the victim that we don't realize that we had a role. And of course, some horrific things could have happened. I've experienced some hard things, but I still have to look at what's the role. What's the role, even if I stayed in a situation longer than I should have?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
how detrimental. What's the role? Okay, did I teach a person that this was okay? And now I'm saying that it's not,
Wow.
and now, okay, takes time to recalibrate. And then some people can, some people can't. But we teach people how to treat us.
Absolutely.
And sometimes it's like, that's a hard pill to swallow. I didn't teach a person that they could. Well, it may be
Right.
I didn't speak up for myself, or it may
Absolutely.
be that I went along to get along. It could be
Absolutely.
so many different things that took
Mhm.
place. And so
Absolutely.
I have started, taking ownership, and I want to take even more ownership
Thank you.
because, oh, I'm over here and I'm perfect and I did all the things right.
Mm.
In what world? You're in a true fantasy if you believe that's the case. The reality
Absolutely.
is that you're human too, and you done
Mhm.
messed up too, and you need to address that too.
Absolutely.
Don't be over there as a victim because you're gonna just be in this place of I'm angry and I'm bitter and woe is me. No, that does me no good.
Absolutely. Thank you
Yeah.
so much for sharing that, Sharon, because, yes, some of us have been victimized, but I believe in myself. We're only the victim the first time. After that, yeah, I need to tell someone, I need to something if I can. You know what I'm saying? If
Mhm.
I can.
Yeah.
That's the thing right there. If I can, and if I can't, then I am truly a victim. But even then, I can't stay there because I can't heal from that place. i have to
Yeah.
i have to move from being that victim to
Yeah.
seeing it from a different perspective. And like you
Absolutely.
said, none of us are perfect, and most times we do have a role to play. And
Yeah.
see, what I have been able to understand is that the resentment that I had came from the things that were done to me, which is such a powerful force, right? But then the guilt and shame comes from the part
Mm,
I play, and that is definitely also another powerful force. And so now I have to apologize. See, so apology and forgiveness are those two saving graces that help
mhm.
me move along the healing process. And
Oh,
so, like you said, we're not perfect. We had our part to play. So now we get to forgive ourselves. We get to
mhm.
apologize to ourselves
Mhm.
and to people that we may have harmed along the way due to our trauma responses, right?
Yeah, yeah. And even as you were sharing that, it made me think about who also the flip side is not taking on other people's part, not taking responsibility for things that weren't yours. So I want to make sure that I don't victim shame. I want to be very clear about that,
Yes.
that this isn't you. You didn't do this. You didn't bring this on yourself. I
Yes.
not those parts. So it's
Yes.
that the other part. And you were kind of speaking to
Absolutely.
that, even the healing part.
Yes. Yes.
um, those things kind of like in childhood. No, let's put the blame where it lies.
Hmm.
Um, I'm mostly over this side thinking about these things over in adulthood that I know I played a role in. So let
Yes.
me not get it twisted. So
Yes.
I just want to have that caveat because no,
Yes.
no, yeah, I don't do the victim shaming. No, no, it's not your
Hmm.
fault that this person touched you or this person did things, whatever it may. No, no, no. However,
Absolutely.
yeah, there are some things somewhere in life. There are some things that, and let's start there. Yeah, let's start there.
Yes, absolutely. Wow, this is so wonderful. You know what? I am so excited about this, hearing all about your journey. We're going to keep it moving. Choo choo. We're going to go on to, yes. We're going to keep it moving on now to the sustain phase. Miss Shar'ron Mason, you kind of alluded to it in the last one about how you get out in the sunshine and how you keep yourself going. Please tell us, how do you sustain this wonderful mindset? How do you sustain the giving? How do you sustain the positive attitude? Please tell us, how do you sustain all this wonderful goodness that you've gotten along the way?
Okay. Yeah. So I did get it started, didn't I? So like I was saying, I talked about my morning routine, but
Hmm.
I don't want to speak as much on that because it's not
Okay.
the routine that really gets me. It's my relationship with Jesus. It's
Okay.
our time, it's our conversations. So I've started getting even my prayer room back together. I've started doing that because I want to be intentional about this relationship. I don't want it to just be, just a regimented, this is the thing that I'm doing, it's not just a check off situation. It's
Yes.
about this relationship. And
Hmm.
then I'm able to get poured into even more. So all the relationships that sometimes feel like they're tapping and they're draining, not that one. Oh goodness, I could never give enough within that relationship. It's one that continually pours into me,
Hmm.
and I want to make sure that, and this is an up and down thing, it's definitely in progress, that I'm giving just what I need to give within that relationship. And I'm not being distracted as much on the social media because I be on the social media with the social media and then the television, all these distractions. So my thing is to have that balance
Okay.
and not have as much of the distractions that's pulling away because those things are taken from me.
Hmm.
Extremely important, extremely important. Also, who I surround myself around.
Oh, yeah.
I've got to be around folks that are positive and uplifting. I don't like the, oh goodness, drama. Let me just say it.
Yes.
I'm not
Say it.
doing it. I'm not a clicky type person. I don't want the drama. Even if there's bad things going on, I can't sit in negativity because there can be things that are real things to talk about, but I can't sit there.
Yes.
No, it kind of it bothers me because I think because I'm so solution focused. I didn't mention
Hmm.
that, but I'm a person that's solution
Oh,
focused,
yeah.
and it's like if we're not talking about the solution, then what are we talking about? Process your emotions, okay, process your
Hmm.
emotions, but
Absolutely.
what is this all about? Because this thing is now grown and
Mm.
I can't sit in that. So I'm really
Absolutely.
mindful about who I surround myself with. Um, I love vacations, haven't taken enough. I do have
Yeah.
one coming up though, but
Okay. Where you going?
I'm going to Italy.
Ooh,
Yeah,
wow. How
yeah,
exciting.
yeah. So I told you I turned 50
Hmm.
and I'd been saying my gift to myself, but I'm gonna say God's gift to me because I wasn't sure how that was gonna unfold. But
Okay.
yeah, so God's gift to me, and then I'm along for the ride. Is I'm going to Italy for a week.
Yeah.
Cannot wait. Yeah, I'm just so looking forward to it. Um, and I want to do more small getaways and some other things, like some week-long things and some 3-day things, extended, weekend things, 4-day. I want to live life. I love the young people, and I
Hmm.
make sure that when I can, so I'm a part of a mentoring group. Want to get back in the swing of supporting with it more, being around, grandbaby, nieces, even nephews. I mean, family. I'm big on family. So
Yeah.
with all of that, it's like the balance of what does that look like. But looking at
Wow.
things that nurture me, being intentional about what nurtures me, and then also giving back good stuff. I want to make sure that it's just a steady flow and that I'm not stagnant. I'm not trying to hold all this good stuff into my, that doesn't work like that.
No.
All
No.
right, like, I think about when they got that manna and it's like, oh, we're not gonna have anything to eat tomorrow. So they got it over here and we're gonna put this up for tomorrow. And then they go to it and that stuff was spoiled and rotten and we can't eat this. So some of this stuff is not for me just to be holding on for later and just, ooh, a lack mindset. I don't ever
Ooh-wee.
want to have a lack mindset. It's abundance.
Mm-hmm.
You name it, it's abundance of the good stuff. And when I find
Absolutely.
myself drawing in certain ways, it's probably about my lack mindset kicking in. No, there's an abundance of
Yes.
love, of joy, of peace, of all of the good stuff. Money, sometimes it can be like, oh, I've got to take on this job, or I've got to do this, or I've got to do that. Okay. What is making me think that I have to? That there's not going to be enough. Slow down.
Yes.
Who's been providing all along?
Ooh, yes.
Have you missed a meal?
Yes. Come on
You
now.
know, have all your stuff been turned off? And it's like,
Yeah.
okay, no,
Mm-hmm.
slow down, do a check-in, and probably need to go into prayer and have some conversations
There you go.
to
There
get
you go.
realigned.
Ooh, how powerful. Oh man, you just gave us so much, about how you sustain, and you started it off with your relationship with the Most High, you know, and that really resonated with me because I know that same entity, Jesus, the one who saves us from ourselves. You know what I'm saying? And from anything else that could be amiss.
Mm,
I love the fact that you talked about that. I love the fact that you talk about your relationship and how that gives to you and how you give back to that relationship. Because I'm operating from that same standpoint. I already know everything that everything I have comes from the source. The, Jesus, God, the Holy Spirit, all one big gigantic source that gives me everything I need so that I can give it in
mm.
all the places I need to give it.
All the places.
If it's coming from me, it's limited. And that's why
Oh,
I get
goodness.
tired. That's how come I get irritated. You know what I'm saying? But when it's coming from the source, it's abundant. It's a never ending flow of energy. I could do it all day long and never get tired, never have a wayward thought. You know what I'm saying? I understand what you're saying about that relationship and how you
Hmm.
give yourself to it because I have given myself in the same way. You know, dear God, show me what I need to see. Tell me what I need to hear and connect me where I need to be connected for your
Blind
purpose.
spots. Oh,
Because see,
God.
that's how we sustain it. We don't sustain it with our own energy. We sustain it
Don't fail every
through
time.
prayer, through
Yeah,
the
let me try
prayer
to
and the
do this thing.
meditation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Prayer and
Yeah.
meditation,
Yes.
with God. And so I'm just really so glad that you put that in there. And then how you say, you continue to keep yourself rejuvenated by hanging out with the young people, because they have all of that wonderful energy to give. And there you are, all your little receptors picking up all that energy. And now you're giving back to yourself so that you can continue to keep going as well. You know, sustaining what we have along the way is not a hard thing to do when you know who has sustained you the whole time. And that's
Amen. Yes.
exactly what you have spoken about today, and spoken about living your best life today, not waiting for tomorrow to live your best life. What you
Yeah.
have today is for today. Exhaust it today. Use it today because there's going to be another fresh, abundant amount for you tomorrow. It never ends, it never fails. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm
Hmm.
just really, really happy to hear you bring all of those things to us today. Woo! This has been amazing. Would you all agree? Yes, you do. I know you do. Well, Shar'ron, before we end, and I know all good things must come to an end, can you please give us just a few words of wisdom, yeah, for the community and how they can reach you in the event that they need to come and see a therapist? You would be the one to see. So please allow people to know how to reach you.
Okay. Yeah. So if I had to give some words of wisdom, I'm going back to the grace. Extend yourself grace. For some people, it's a new concept. I know it has been, even for clients that I've worked with, and it's like, what in the world are you talking about? So, what would it look like for you to treat yourself even as you would a best friend? Sometimes that's a way people can kind of get that thing. If you were to treat yourself as you would a best friend, if you was to talk to yourself as you would a best friend or a person that you truly love, if you were to do those things, to yourself, what would that look like? Not to require yourself to be superhuman. Yeah, to be human. What would that look like? So starting there, learning to extend yourself grace, learning to extend yourself grace. and then prayerfully, able to do that for others as well. But we get so caught up into doing for others. No, it starts here. How can I do this so that I can love neighbors as myself? I've already been doing it over here. So learning to extend yourself grace, I would say that. Surround yourself by people who are able to see the best in you, not speaking to those negative thoughts that you may already have about yourself. Mm-mm. And then when you have those negative thoughts to come up, learn to challenge them. Think in terms of, well, whose voices that am I hearing? Am I hearing the cousin's voice that said this thing about me that has never gone anywhere in 30, 40, 50 years? Am I hearing even the pastor's voice? Whose voice? Now I need to challenge that thing, and I'm going to challenge it. I'll just take it to the word, but figuring out how I'm going to challenge this thing. I'm not going to hold on to something that it's not feeding me and it's not for me. Thinking in terms of also the things that maybe worked for a season, but they're not good for this season.
Ooh.
Okay. This worked for a season. This may be something that kept me alive. And it may be something that may have been fairly dysfunctional, but it functioned then. This is something that kept me alive. It may be that I held my tongue and I didn't share my truth and I didn't speak up and advocate for myself, because at that time to do so may have meant life or death in some way. This is a different day and age. And get into a place of, now I can do these things. I can speak my truth. I can advocate for myself. I can form my support team in a way that's going to nurture me. And so even looking at, this is something that functioned then, it's not functioning for me now, and now I need to let this thing go, and I may have to grieve it. It may be grief all throughout all of this. I may have to grieve it, because if it's been a part of me, and now I'm going to let it go, I probably need to grieve this thing, and so that I can let it go. So those will be just some tidbits. Also, get in there and allow yourself to get yourself some therapy. I'm telling you, it's the place that you can be the most selfish. I'll say selfish in the sense of, it's not about your therapist. If your therapist is talking about all of what they went through and all of their stuff, and now you are the therapist to the therapist, that's not the spot to be at. That's not that. You should be able to bring all of your stuff. You should be able to be vulnerable, transparent, honest, and have your time. That should be the space in which you're able to get what you need. And so find yourself a good therapist, and just be willing to do the work, realizing that it's not easy work, but it's necessary work. My information. So my site is lovethatrelationship.com. That's my practice is called Love That Relationship. So my site is lovethatrelationship.com. Lovethatrelationship.com. If after you do that, if you go to the shop, you can find all of my books. So I have gratitude journals. I'm all about gratitude. I have them for the men, I have them for the women. I have my children's book series. I've got my book for the ladies. Even boss ladies need a break, because we put everybody on the front burner. We put ourselves on the back burner. And now we're wondering why we're all wore out and tired and all the things. So yes, we also want to check that out as well. Yeah.
Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much, Shar'ron Mason, for being here with us this episode. Thank you all for tuning in to this wonderful, riveting episode of The Healing Train. And before I go, I want to tell you that I am praying for you, that God's going to bless you real good. And that thing that you are manifesting, don't give up. Keep up the faith and keep up the positive action that you're doing to bring that thing into your reality. All right, guys, I'm going to say goodbye for now. I love you and I believe in you, and we'll see you next week right here on The Healing Train. Bye bye.